Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Tom Prichard, and in this special report in Logan's World TV, we're going to pay homage to a special hero, friend, and teacher, the legendary Gypsy Joe. On June 15th, 2016, the legendary Gypsy Joe, Gilberto Melendez, passed away. We're going to take a look at his exciting and legendary life on this special report. Gypsy Joe was known throughout the United States and the world, and no doubt he was known for his longevity in this business. For over 7 decades, Gypsy Joe brought his hardcore brawling style into the ring. He scared wrestlers and fans alike, and there's no doubt there will never be another like the famous Gypsy Joe.
Gypsy Joe 先生の方でございます。
Gypsy Joe was known throughout the United States and the entire world for his insane brawling style. As a matter of fact, it might even be said that Gypsy was a man who invented hardcore wrestling. He scared fans and wrestlers alike with his brawling style. But I've got to tell you, if you remember the infamous Gypsy Joe, you'll remember that hardcore brawling that he brought to the ring. Now, Joe began his career in 1951, but that's a date that's disputed by wrestling historians throughout the world, just for the mere fact of the 7 decades that Joe spent in professional wrestling. It's hard to document from the very beginning. But one of the things we do know is that Gypsy Joe started at 18 years old in Puerto Rico, trained by Carlos Colon Sr. and Pedro Morales. But I think the most prominent image and the most prominent win of his career was winning the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship in Mexico. Gypsy Joe was a man whose style was unique at that time and the first man to ever jump off the top of a cage, among other notable and actually infamous incidents throughout his life. Let's take a look back at Gypsy Joe.
But then I got a chance to go to Japan. I was number 3 in the list. Abdullah the Butcher and the Sheikh, and then myself. So that's a big thing for me that I was number 3, and between all these people, thousands of people, you know, I mean, I guess they wish they was like me, but I was pretty good, but sometimes I lost my head and say things that I never should say. I had a big run out there. I think it was like 6, 7, 8 months. We draw a lot of money all the time. Wrestling today is more like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wrestling those days, either you wrestle and you make money, but it's, you know, more dancing, more talking, more bullshit that before you had to know what's going on. Otherwise, you might work a week or you might work 2 weeks, but that's what you're finished. Because those days, you know, when you hit somebody, you hit somebody. Now it's like dancing.
Now, Joe would cut his teeth in Tennessee working for promoters like Nick Goulas and Jerry Jarrett and forming various tag teams with Tojo Yamamoto and Frank Martinez as the Blue Infernos. But everywhere he went, whether it was by himself or with a tag team partner, he was capturing championships, no matter who it was.
His opponent, Gypsy Joe, up to the ring. As far as official introductions go, from Romania to, Gypsy Joe jumping Hector over in the corner. Boy, the introductions can be done or anything. Boy, Gypsy Joe climbed in the ring, jumped Hector. He doesn't even have his warm-up jacket off. Joe thrown him through the ropes down on the floor. Hector climbing back up on the apron. Joe not want to let him in the ring. Hector on the apron through the ropes. Oh, Joe. Good grief.
Joe really going after him. Man, oh, man.
Hector is still wearing his warm-up jacket. Hasn't had a chance to get it off. Gypsy Joe right on top of him before the bell sounded, and he's continued to pound on him over near Hector's corner. Joe's using an open hand, but it's vicious. Let me tell you, he's using that in the lower part of the arm. He's also using a little choke there.
No, that's not illegal.
It certainly isn't.
Gypsy Joe coming in there with a lot of anger and evidently a spoiler attitude. Hector, as we said earlier.
Once Joe gained his reputation throughout the South, he traveled internationally to Canada working for Stu Hart, and then went to Japan, where his legend grew to a status that is still revered today. It was in Japan where Joe was wrestling opponents like the Sheik, Abdullah the Butcher, and Mr. Pogo, where that strong style hardcore wrestling became in vogue. Joe would pick up any weapon, anything that he could grab at ringside or wasn't nailed down, and hit his opponent with it. And it was in that death match style where Joe finally developed that cult-like status. In the early 2000s, Joe, who's now reportedly in his 60s, returned to the United States on the independent scene. He goes to work with Apex Wrestling and continues or goes back to the mantle of Gene Madrid. He's the only man to ever hold the West Virginia Heavyweight Championship 3 times. Gypsy Joe, a.k.a. Gene Madrid, infamy continues.
And fans starting off. Brad Taylor making a challenge to Gene Madrid. The bell's already rang. Gene Madrid already having the upper hand over Brad Taylor. He's wrenching away on the arm, taking him down to one knee.
My God, what a way to open up this edition of Studio Championship Wrestling. It's like deja vu all over again. I'm still having nightmares about the beating Brett got last week.
Gene Madrid biting away on the hand of Brad Taylor. I think he may be missing a finger or two. Referee Monty had to pull Gene off of Brett right there. And honest to God, Flex, I have to ask you something. Is Brett Taylor a glutton for punishment or what? Choking him out right there on the top rope.
With the way Gene Madrid was biting those fingers, it makes me wonder what was in that stew he gave me last week.
Gene Madrid with his hands around Brett Taylor's throat, laying him out in the middle of the ring. And there's Gene picking him up by the hair right there. He's got him up on the turnbuckle. What's he got? Look at that. He's choking him out right there with that rope.
I'm not sure I caught what you're talking about, Jack.
Gene Madrid, once again, an animal over Brett Taylor. Absolutely savage. Choking Brett Taylor out on the rope right there.
I can't help but wonder if referee Monty's not a little intimidated by Gene himself. I believe he just performed an appendectomy.
Whatever that may be there, Flex. And I'd have to agree, referee Monty's going to have to keep a safe distance away from Gene Madrid because this guy is an absolute savage. Sitting here choking out Brett Taylor on the rope.
I believe if I'm Brett Taylor, I'm asking these fans to shut up. It seems like the more they cheer for young Brett, the more savage Gene beats him.
And I'd honestly have to agree, as Brett Taylor is once again laid out right here on the bottom rope as Gene picks him up into the turnbuckle and drives that big closed fist right into the exposed ribs. A nice fist to the face right there, right in the jaw of Brett as he chokes him out on the rope right there, as you can see in the middle of your screen, fans. Gene Madrid, absolutely relentless.
Ramming that head into Brett's sternum.
And kicking down into the gut as he is just absolutely laying down Brett Taylor. The WOA Wild Wrestling legend, I guess, giving Brett Taylor a little bit of a lesson.
This Gene Madrid is so savage, I'm surprised that we can even sanction him here in the AWA.
I don't know what Brett Taylor had going through his head, but yes, he is a fighter. He's a great competitor, but he asked for it this time.
Yeah, he's going against the legend. You know, Gene Madrid's a legend here in the States, Canada, Japan, everywhere in the world. This guy carved out a niche in wrestling that nobody will ever duplicate.
Applying the camel clutch right there, wrenching away on the neck of Brett Taylor. As he's got him screaming in pain in the middle of the ring. Another kick to the exposed ribs, and Brett Taylor.
And speaking of carving out, you know, a lot of people in the sport of wrestling call themselves hardcore legends, and perhaps they are deserving. But anybody who calls himself a hardcore legend must first look to Gene Madrid because he wrote the book.
Gene Madrid, an animal in the ring, especially here at the AWA Apex. And now it looks as if Brett Taylor's trying to get some offense over Gene, and it's not even phasing him as he's dropping him down into an armbar right there in the middle of the ring. And once again, Brett Taylor is screaming in pain.
My God, Brett got a few shots in, but not much.
As you can see the animalistic behavior and the look on Gene Madrid's face.
This Gene, man, he's one look at this guy says it all.
He has been an absolute monster on top of Brett Taylor, wrenching away on that arm and not letting go of that submission hold.
I got to say this, I don't know if it's guts or insanity, but I'm really impressed that Brett hasn't given it up yet.
Nowhere near the ropes, and still yet Brett Taylor, yes, yet to tap out due to everything that Madrid has handed him. As you can hear in the Apex Studio Arena and across Oak Hill, West Virginia. There he is, finally tapping out. You think Gene Madrid is killing this young man?
This Gene Madrid's locked on like a vice. We got to pry him off.
Gene Madrid once again victorious over Brett Taylor in singles competition and not letting go. Fans will be right back after this.
Well, you know, I work for so many people that I don't even remember where I work. So this and that. I went to Kansas City, and I did pretty good in Kansas City. Then I went to the Maritimes, and I did good. And then this Japanese guy saw me working, and he called Tokyo. Called somebody in Japan, and he said, we got a guy here that might make you some money. So I went to Japan, and not lucky enough, I just sit there by myself. I'm a loner. I like to be alone by myself. I don't want nobody to be, sitting around me and do this, do that. So I learned the tricks, and I went so many times, and the people, I guess, got tired of seeing me. And here, about 2 years, a year or 2 years ago, I went, and I did pretty good, but this happened. Cancer set on my leg, and they had to cut my leg. So just that I was going to go back again.
As well as being a pioneer in professional wrestling, Joe also became a pioneer in the viral video age. In April 2003, due to his no-selling style throughout his career, it became more or less an issue when he faced New Jack in a match where I guess New Jack wasn't familiar with the Gypsy Joe legend. And he was attacked with a barbed wire baseball bat. Can you imagine? But Gypsy Joe didn't care. That's the kind of man he was. In 2007, WWE Magazine named Gypsy Joe the oldest wrestler reportedly at the age of 73. Now, to solidify this point, on February 13th, 2010, Joe appeared in the corner of his protege, the Necro Butcher, in a no-rules tag match for the Ring of Honor 8th anniversary show. Now, finally, at nearly 75 years of age, on January 7th, 2011, Gypsy Joe, the man also known as Gene Madrid, retired from the ring in the town he was living in, Tullahoma, Tennessee, putting the final exclamation point on a 60-plus career. November 7th, 2015, WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley inducted Joe into the Nashville Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, and Joe was without a doubt one of the most memorable characters ever to step foot in a ring, credited with being the first man to ever jump off a steel cage in Japan. Through being an innovator of the hardcore style, Joe will be remembered as legendary and one of the most toughest wrestlers to ever step in a ring anywhere in the world. He will be missed.
Gypsy Joe has just manhandled every opponent he has faced since coming to the Central States area.
Gypsy Joe was a man who struck fear in fans and wrestlers alike. But when I saw and talked to Gypsy Joe, I felt nothing but a friendship as well as a kinship for this life we all go in and walk through as professional wrestlers. Gypsy Joe has done it all. He did it all. He never stopped loving professional wrestling and what it was. And what it was that hard knocks road that you walked down every single day up until the last breath he took. He couldn't get enough. Professional wrestling was his life. Professional wrestling is my life. And we shared that bond together. We had laughs, we had fun, and we had that kinship that once you're in this business, you can never, ever break. Gypsy, I'm going to miss you. Rest in peace.